let's turn now to Josh Heupel, and we can talk all we want to about Nico not living up to the hype, pun intended. But at some point, don't we have to look at Josh Heupel? And this is still a Tennessee team that's coming off a win. This is not time to throw up the white flag. But we're looking at an offensive line that he built, John, and that is not good at the tackle position. And I was told by somebody within the program before last year that 2024 would be a struggle on the offensive line. I thought as long as they stayed healthy, they'd be fine. I don't even think that's the case now with Hurd, and I don't think that John Campbell Jr. is ever going to be healthy. So did we overestimate what Josh Heupel would be able to do, both last year with Joe Milton, this year with Nico? I mean, this roster is still not a Georgia or Alabama in its prime type of roster where you can plug in another tackle and expect to just roll.
Yeah, I'm seeing fewer teams in college football that can just plug in another tackle and roll. I think this is systemic with the sport right now. But yeah, if you go back to Josh Heupel's first season, when he averaged almost 40 points a game with a 7-win team, and started out with Joe Milton at quarterback, made a quick switch and went back to Hendon Hooker. But that team had been significantly impacted by attrition because all the guys that transferred out, probably about 10 starters. So based on that, I think the expectations for Josh Heupel offense and for Josh Heupel as an offensive coach are just off the charts. It's he'll find a way. He'll mask weaknesses. He'll do whatever. His system just works, and he's a creative play caller. So that's kind of how I viewed him. The 2022 season only raised those expectations. So you say, give him the right quarterback with that system, game over. And what did Nick Saban say this year, former Alabama coach? If you created a quarterback for Josh Heupel's system, it would be this one, Nico Iamaleava. So Urban Meyer, another great former coach, raved about Nico. So you put all that together, the coach, the system, and the quarterback, why aren't you scoring 40 points a game? So yeah, we had those expectations for Heupel too, and we're changing those expectations, obviously.
John, let me jump in and ask, how much of Josh Heupel's problems are his own arrogance? I mean, and I've been on this about Josh Heupel for a long time, where I feel like he is very confident in his ability to plug and play and say, I'm Josh Heupel. I have this offense that no one's figured out, so I can do whatever I want. I mean, I don't want to go here, but it gives kind of Lincoln Riley vibes to a degree. I mean, anybody with eyes saw that Joe Milton was not a fit for his system, and Josh Heupel in his mind is like, well, I'll take Joe Milton because I'm Josh Heupel and I'm a genius and I'll make it work and I can get any tackles to throw in. Is Josh Heupel's arrogance getting the best of him at this point because of his early success?
Possibly. But see, this year I thought he had the quarterback. And
he didn't bother to upgrade the line.
Pardon?
But he didn't bother to upgrade the line.
Well,
that's a fair point. Yeah, I need to buy
John, he tried with Lance Hurd. I just think that we've learned that offensive lineman, Andre Keurig wasn't great last year either. And I think we have learned that with offensive linemen in general in college football, they need to be high school recruits and be in your system and learn it. I mean, I think there are issues with Hurd that have nothing to do with that, but I believe that's something that Josh Heupel didn't fully understand and thought you could just plug and play these guys, and that hasn't been the case.
But that speaks to Caleb's question and his contention that Josh Heupel maybe thinks, well, I can just put any 320-pound guy in there, and with my system, it'll work. But it's clearly not working.
No, very fair point, Caleb.
That's where I'm at. It's very reminiscent to me of you guys watch a lot of NFL. I'm dealing with it right now with my Titans and Will Levis. But you see these coaches that rather than the GM admit they drafted the wrong quarterback, they just keep shuffling coaches, finding somebody that's like, oh, this guy will make it work with this quarterback I drafted. And they just keep firing coaches the way Al Davis fired Lane Kiffin because he couldn't make it work with Jamarcus Russell. And when it turned out nobody could make it work with Jamarcus Russell. And so I'm seeing that somewhat with Josh Heupel where, I mean, because you're in college, you're the GM and the coach, and he's thinking, I can make it work with anybody. I just got to get this guy or this guy, and it's fine.
Well, I mean, Joe Milton is a prime example, if that's the point you're trying to make, because Josh Heupel not only made the mistake with Joe Milton once, but twice.
Yes.
I mean, last year's offense dropped off dramatically with Joe Milton at quarterback. And yet Josh Heupel believed that, this guy works in my system. He went out of his way to get him from Michigan. Which kind of brings to mind another thing I was wondering about, see what you guys think. We talked about this a lot last year. Do you think it would make any difference at this point with Nico if he would have played last year? If he would have had maybe the last 3 regular season games and he had 1 bowl game, that's all he had as a start. But if he would have played more and significant snaps, do you think it would have made any difference based on what's going on right now?
I hadn't thought of it, but yes, I do. I think he's been overly protective.
I think it's possible. I was the one who defended the sticking with Joe Milton last year because I just thought Nico was too brittle. And I didn't think the line was there with Cooper Mays banged up. But you guys do have a point because I think part of the missed deep shots has to do with chemistry with receivers. I think one that sailed down the sideline, I think that's one where Nico maybe had thought that Chaz Nimrod was going to break back in. And Chaz Nimrod thought, oh no, I should go, vertical, just straight down the sideline. Nimrod was right, by the way, because he was wide open. But I think
Nimrod would have had to run to the Gatorade bucket to catch that ball.
That's true too.
I mean, John, I have trouble putting that one on Nimrod.
No, I'm not putting it on Nimrod. I'm saying Nico's chemistry with his receivers. He's, I think, learning. He's only doing what he's coached to do, and is not yet thinking for himself enough. I think is the best way to say it.
Well, you bring up receivers. Are they getting a pass on all of this because of the fledgling passing game, or do they have nothing to do with the offense sputtering, or are the receivers also an issue? What do you guys think?
I think they're an issue. I think the biggest issue at play is Tennessee has not adapted to this 3-3 look or 3-2-6 look. I don't think coaches have necessarily figured them out, but I think that's when arrogance plays into it. I think Josh Heupel would much rather thump you by 50 than struggle to win 13-10. And who wouldn't? But in particular with him, I don't think Nick Saban cared back in the day. I mean, he won a lot of games where I thought he took his foot off the gas too early, pre-Lane Kiffin, John. And I think that's where Tennessee needs to be. I think they need to be ultra conservative, given Nico's propensity to turn the ball over, given that they have one of the best tailbacks in recent memory, and an offensive line that excels at run blocking and that is horrible at pass blocking.
How would you feel if you were one of the NIL boosters who's signing the checks that go to Nico? If someone says, yeah, we need to be really conservative, basically work your way around your quarterback, how would you feel if you were contributing to that? Would that want to make you throw more money quarterback's way, or would it make you want to say, what was I thinking?
Well, I can tell you that there were decisions made off Hendon Hooker's performance as far as what NIL opportunities were out there. I think the fact that he was pre-bought, so to speak, is problematic because everybody else on Tennessee's football team that's gotten paid a tremendous amount of money, other than Lance Hurd, they have proven themselves. Those are the the two guys now that have not proven themselves at an all SEC level. Any argument?
Nico and Lance.
Yep, that they got prepaid. It's like the Target card you buy because you don't know what to get your family for Christmas. You just get them the Target card.
Yeah, but Bryce Young was prepaid.
Yeah, he was. You can't spell NIL without without a Lance and a Nico.
Thank you. All right, John. But on a serious note here, I wrote a column that I've lost faith in Nico, and but
I'm sure that hurt. I'm sure that hurt him. Go ahead.
Actually, he blocked me on Twitter, but that's another issue for another day. So yeah. So anyway, we talked about that earlier. So the I will say this. I covered a lot of Alabama for Saturday Down South because for some reason Alabama, even though it was the most successful program, they didn't have anybody competent that wanted to write for them. So I said, well, I'm incompetent, but I'll write for you. So we did that. And I thought that Bryce Young early in his career, and John, I ask you this specifically because I know how much football you watch. I thought that he was indecisive when he would roll out about the first month of the season. He had a fantastic first year where he set multiple Alabama records. So I'm not knocking the whole year, but I thought there were times where he could have just run and picked up 5 to 7 yards and he would kind of just dance at the line of scrimmage. Do you recall that by chance?
No, I mean, I did watch him play a lot. I thought he was really good right away, but I don't remember that particular problem he had. Thanks for pointing it out to me. I'll go back and research that.
Sure you will. So my question is, though, I mean, how easy is it for us to change or for Nico to change our minds? Because I think Jonathan Crompton did the same thing in the last half of his senior year. So just because I'm lacking faith right now doesn't mean it's a death sentence by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I hope not. No, we change our mind all the time. That's what sports are about. You don't just you have an idea going into the season. I had an idea what Nico is. Okay, he doesn't play up to what I thought he would. That doesn't mean he won't play up to it later. You just keep an open mind and changes based on the results. So no, that's not a death sentence at all. You'd look pretty stupid if you never changed your mind about what you think athletes will do.
No, agreed. How big is the Alabama game? They're not fantastic at defending the pass.
Yeah, they're nowhere near fantastic. That's Alabama's flaw. One of the flaws, not the only one, but going into the season, that's what everybody looked at. You lose 2 guys to the NFL. Caleb Downs starts looking the Buckeyes way and says, I'm out of here. Better program, more money. See you. And a more experienced coach. So, yeah, I think that this is a game where you would think Tennessee's passing game could take off. But you know what? I thought the same thing about the Arkansas game. I really, there were a couple of passers that kind of lit up Arkansas secondary. So I thought, but now I think again, this game's at home. That should help. So Alabama's was kind of weak there to begin with. It's had a couple of injuries, so it's even weaker. But if those tackles don't block Alabama's pass rushers, it might not matter.